Morning, good afternoon, and good night to everyone. Welcome back to the K Plus Podcast, episode 14. Hope you guys having a good day today. Don't forget to please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You don't know what the deal is and so forth. We have a really good show for you today. We have a special guest in the building, as you can see. Very influential young man, business owner, motivational speaker, you name it. Currently runs the platform Healing the Youth, basically just a platform empowering people to be their best selves, man. Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Franco Lopez, in the building. Franco, talk to me nice. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I can't complain. I can't complain, man. I got a lot done today. Feeling good. Really appreciate the man being able to make the time to be on the show with me today.
Of
We have a
course.
really good show, really good topics to talk about today and so forth. But
Yeah.
before we even get to that and so forth, if you remember, this isn't our first time meeting each other.
Hmm.
When I was still in St. Croix, like in 2021, 2022, on occasion I used to run basketball in Canigata. I
Okay.
used to be hooping there in Canigata.
Okay.
I've been there 'cause I was a dude in the old hyperdunks, used to be in a tank top just running ball. And I always used to see you there. And every time we used to go Canigata around them time. We
Yeah.
played a couple of games together before, couple 21 and so forth.
Yeah.
But I just find it funny. Me, if you remember, it's fine, it's cool. But
No, I mean, I always used to play ball back then, especially in Canigata, so I most
uh,
likely like seeing you there for sure.
yeah, that's the only court I ever see you on. And I ain't seeing why one West Coast nowhere. I always Canigata. So I
Yeah.
know you're from specifically there. Check what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
this isn't our first encounter. I found that funny. I
Okay.
wanted to
Okay.
let you know that before during the show because you probably didn't remember and
Yeah.
so forth. But I always remember Hooper though. You still run ball? You
Nah,
just
not really.
man used to be nice, you know. The man used to be nice, man. The
Appreciate it.
man could have ball, my son. But yeah, man. I just found that funny.
Yeah.
Um, healing the youth before we even, like I said, before we even get to the main topic, healing the youth. What motivated you to start this whole journey, this platform, healing the youth? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah. So back in 2020, during the pandemic, I started to take an initiative on empowering the youth when it comes,
Yes.
especially in mental health, because during the pandemic, not only was everybody isolated, but a lot of youth was experiencing depression and just a lot of mental health issues. Even myself, I was very isolated, away from my friends, and like I came to a realization that I also had like low self-esteem. So my first initiative to improve myself was sitting in the gym, and that's how I got my self-esteem up. And while I was improving myself, I was documenting the process. I was putting my videos on TikTok, posting like
Mm.
2, 3 times a day. So I was basically documenting my whole life on how to improve myself. And this journey just take on basically until now. So everybody been seeing my progress. I build a community around self improvement and just everybody who want to improve themselves. I have a broadcast channel on Instagram. Everybody who's interested in improving themselves, get positive messages, and that broadcast channel I currently have like 3,000 members in there. So it's a whole community of people who want to
Mm.
be educated, inspired, and just in general just improve themselves.
All right, all right. And to pray. How old you is? How old you are? How old are you?
19.
19. You're 19 years old right now. Today, you're 19 years old.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this since 2020.
Yeah. So I was like
So,
15, 16 around there.
and when I first saw the man doing that type of work, I was impressed because as far as I see, as far as I know, not a lot of
Mhm.
people at that age doing stuff like that, empowering people and so forth. So I
Yeah.
applaud that highly. That you're doing some good work and keep it up.
Appreciate
We
that.
need we need people like you and so on and so forth doing things like that. So keep up the good work, man.
Thank
Real
you.
stuff.
Yeah.
Real stuff, man. So today we're gonna talk about this. This gonna be for the men today, really and truly. This gonna be for the males and so forth. Mental health and motivation for men. I picked you because I know you're well versed in this topic and so forth. I just see you post a lot of stuff in regards to this And just starting off, in terms of like a specific question, so like in today's society, we're influenced highly by popular folk, social media, so on and so forth. So in terms of like, how do you think when it comes to like social media influencing men to do popular certain things that are popular, or what society deems of the standard of how a man should be? What's your take on how social media influences that today?
It's very weird, especially
Hmm.
with red pill content, all these type of like influencers promoting like a lifestyle that is so unrealistic
Hmm.
when it comes to, oh, you have to sleep with 20 plus woman until you have to reach this age.
Uh-huh.
You have to have a Lamborghini, a mansion. So they promote this type of image, but that image has like a weird intention behind it, and that intention, many influencers do it to sell you a dream.
Hmm.
So they sell you this dream where they pose the life that you want, so you can buy their course or like some type of guide. And I
Hmm.
know this because I'm an influencer. Like I know all the tactics that everybody use to reach followers and make
Yes.
money and stuff. So that's a very common scheme of the influencer use to make money. And also when it comes to the content they promote like, oh, you shouldn't cry, or you shouldn't like express your emotions, you should
Uh,
let how you feel and stuff like that. But
you gotta be a man. Don't cry, man. Don't cry.
yeah, like that's
Don't show no emotion. Don't cry.
that's like some old generation type of stuff, you feel me? Like that's
Yes.
how our parents used to grow up and like what they were taught. But
Hmm.
I'm the type of person like, I'm very open minded and I'm a free thinker. So if I feel like something is wrong, I'm gonna say it. And I think saying you shouldn't cry to the youth or like to a man in general is a very wrong message.
No, I feel you on that. So you mentioned a term, red pill. So for those who don't know, just in a layman's term, basic, what is red pill? What's a red pill, man? Or what's the red pill?
Red pill is basically waking up to reality. It's like the Matrix.
So
So
like being woke per se.
yeah, so like in the Matrix, there's the red pill, which is you wake up to reality if you take this pill, and if you take the blue
Hmm.
pill, you stay like in the simulation sort of way. But that red pill content is pretty much like kind of like alpha male in a way, but some influencers do it correctly and some do it in a way that's very negative. And
Hmm.
the positive way is motivating people to do better, approaching healthy habits like working out, getting a job, treating people with respect, treating others kind, just doing being in a righteous path. And then the bad pill content, the negative side of things is when they promote men sleeping with other woman, if it's scamming people, or in general
Hmm.
just being like ignorant also.
Yes, yes, I do feel you on that. You gotta have 50 girl at a time, no less than that. That's the standard,
Yeah.
and showing and so forth. But I feel you on that, and I find it funny because young men, especially I would say 16, early 20s per se, going to that age, they're really influenced by that type of stuff. They're showing the Lamborghinis and all the
Hmm.
fancy, the Lamborghini that they renting.
Yeah.
That might not be their Lamborghini and so
Yeah.
forth. So man, I might say, man, I gotta get a Lambo, I gotta get a big house, I gotta wear these clothes. So that's what the cool guys wearing. This is what we
Yeah.
seeing. This is what the cool guys wearing and so
Yeah.
forth. You check what I'm saying. But it stands to show that a lot of things we do maybe as men, it's not we really want to do it, It
Mm.
looks cool on social media. We want to look cool.
Yeah.
Therefore, we go ahead and do it. You
Hmm.
check what I'm saying. To impress woman, of course, be real. We do stuff to impress the clothes we buy. We want to impress woman, jewelry,
Yeah.
shoes. You check what I'm saying. Some man even want to impress other man. Do
Hmm.
what you gotta do. You check what I'm saying to show off and say, "I's the man," or whatever.
Hmm.
You check what I'm saying. So, in regards to that, now, I believe it's great for men to practice more self-validation. What's your take on that?
I believe that because it's your life.
Hmm.
Nobody is obligated to like you. That's the first thing you should acknowledge. Not everybody's obligated to like you, and you're gonna come across people who gonna like you and who don't, and it's totally
Mm,
normal. But as a man, before you seek validation from anything else in your life, if that's
mm-hmm.
money, if that's girls, if that's another man, like whatever it is, you should validate yourself first, because
Absolutely.
that's the only person that's gonna push you the times where you don't feel like pushing yourself, when you want to accomplish your goals, whenever you want to start that business, post that content. Is you that's gonna depend on yourself. So being that self-validation is key to basically bringing yourself up and becoming a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing about it is the dangerous part is like ain't nothing wrong with, caring about people's opinions. You get
Right.
your opinion on something. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you solely dependent upon the validation of a person or
Mm-hmm.
others, they have the power to make or break you.
Yep, I agree.
Because you ain't really, you gotta talk, whatever they say. If they like it, great. If they talking good, cool. But when that nice talk done and they bringing you down and so forth, they ain't really liking it, then it's like you feel like shit.
Yep.
To be frank, you check what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's like it's okay to take other people's opinions, care about the opinions of others,
Mm-hmm.
but really and truly, you gotta come to the point to where it's like, man, I don't care what people gotta say about me. You check what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Once you know you're doing good and so forth, you need to have that validation within yourself. You have to love yourself, of course,
Mm-hmm.
be confident in yourself and so forth.
Yeah.
So when you have that, these influencers and so forth, you check these things on social media, they ain't really bothering you too much.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't really feel pressed to buy that Lambo, buy that them designer clothes and so forth. It's nice to
Yeah.
have them. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be nice, eventually you get to that point you check. But you ain't really feel like you was less than because you don't have those things at a certain age and so forth. Because there's a
Exactly.
lot of influencers younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
millionaires, younger than you, millionaires, you check what I say.
Yeah.
Whether it's luck, hard work, they got to that point, that's cool. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody wrote the same.
Yep.
Check what I'm saying? So, validation for men, I really think men should really practice that more. I don't think men practice that a lot.
Mm-mm. They don't.
I really don't think men practice that a lot and so forth. I myself, I've been working, making sure I validate myself more and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, men is like this thing, you got to, everything is about status. That's a big thing with men,
Yeah.
status. That's
Status.
one thing we keep, status, ego, and so forth. If we feel like we reach a certain goal within a certain time frame, as opposed to somebody else, we feel like, man, we ain't nothing. You check what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
But when it comes to like the influencers, right? I'm not saying like it's impossible to achieve the millions and the
Of course
fancy
not. It's
cars. Like
possible.
it's very possible, but you gotta see it as okay, that's that person life and again my life. Everybody have different goals, everybody have a different drive, but we do have something in common. We all have the same 24 hours, and that's
Hmm.
what matters and what we do with those 24 hours. And the thing is, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. If you're gonna be inspired by someone, make sure they have the credentials, make sure they are valid, and make sure it's trustworthy. If you see somebody got a Lambo, right? And they tell you the way they got it is by selling you a course of teaching you how to sell a course, how to become a millionaire. Like
Hmm.
that
For,
doesn't make
for
sense.
you to be able to get this Lambo, buy my course for $6,000.
Hmm.
$6,000.
Yeah.
If you want this house, you gotta buy this three-step
Mm-mm.
process for 5K. So they always trying to sell you some.
Yeah. So it's
So
like
you gotta be aware of them type of dudes. That's what you're saying.
yeah, you gotta be aware of like the influencer you want to be like or you inspired to be. So it's like let's say if you see an athlete with a Lamborghini, you see that's
Hmm.
respectable. You inspired by that person because obviously they make their money from the NBA. Or
Hmm.
you see a business owner and they got a sports car. Again, that's a next reasonable reason to be inspired for that person because they made their money by starting a business, clothing line, restaurant, what it is. But my point is, you have to see these influencers, analyze them, see if they have anything sketchy, and then you could be like, okay, this person is very trustable. I can be inspired by them, and maybe follow some footsteps in achieving the life that they have.
Hmm. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So like this thought just came into my head. Oh, side note, I'm sorry. If y'all need a motivational guy to look up to, I will always pick up this guy right here. Absolutely nothing bad. As a big Kobe fan, Franco, if you
Kobe.
don't know. As an absolute Kobe fan, fanatic if you call it. Rest in peace
Mamba
to Kobe.
mindset, man, for sure.
Mamba mentality, guys. I'll promote that all day.
Yeah.
Kobe ain't trying to say you know course. He just tell you go to work,
Literally.
go to work. You check what he's
Literally.
saying. Go to work, and I'll talk about that for a minute. That just pop into my mind is like basically, I believe anybody could adapt this. One thing Kobe said that really sparked me is like how he did practice and so forth. So, ball players, you gotta practice and do what you gotta do. But what Kobe did, he made sure to always work harder than the next guy.
Hmm.
So if the average guy averaging twice a day, he averaging four.
Yeah.
So you might lose some sleep and you might be a little stressed and so forth, but he
That's
made sure to pour in the work. That
sacrifice. Sacrifice
yeah,
right there.
that's part of it too. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice to get to that level.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really have to. It ain't always a get rich quick and ain't always quick, ain't always fast, but you'll get there, man. You'll
Yeah.
get there. But sometimes just, for those who listening, man, sometimes you gotta pour in more work than the next guy.
Yeah.
You gotta try and, pour in a little extra hour, put on the game, put on the TV, go do what you gotta do. You want to reach a certain goal. Not to say you can't play game. I love playing game. I love
Yeah.
watching TV. But when you have a goal you want to achieve, sometimes you just got to. That's one thing that's like proven per se.
Right.
You do more work than the next guy, you can get a little bit more done than the next guy. But
Hmm.
efficiency is also important.
Yeah.
Efficiency is also important. So, is there like a certain famous person that really influences you, a motivational icon, a famous person? Do you have that, or you just mostly just?
I would say influential.
It could be a family member too, whatever, a friend, someone you look up to. You check what I say. Ain't
Yeah.
got to be a famous person.
Yeah. I would say my mom really like inspires me a lot, and like I feel like
Respect.
if I get her hard the work ethic from her because she have worked hard her whole life.
Same.
I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, but I was
Hmm.
raised in the U.S. Virgin Islands when I was 8 years old. So I moved there, but I was basically spent almost my whole life in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I seen her work, nonstop Monday to Saturday, just working, trying to provide, for the family and stuff. So. I feel like she's a big part of it. And somebody else also said that really inspired my content creation. That really motivated me through those, hard times where I have low views, low likes was Gary V. He talks a
Hmm.
lot about content creation and how, you're very young, that you have time to, accomplish things. But, it just pushes me a lot seeing those type of people, who are credible, talking about, inspiration and you should keep pushing.
I do also like Gary Vaynerchuk is a real solid guy. He looked at an 80-year-old man. You're young. You have time. You got 100 years left. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know, watch his content, man. I really like him and so
Yeah,
forth. So yeah, that's cool. Shout out, shout out to the moms, man. I respect my mother highly. My mother saying we work hard, you know, raise three boys predominantly by herself, real shout out to her. So that's not cool. Like to those, it ain't got to be a famous person. You could look up, it could be a family member, it could be a friend. Check what I'm
facts.
saying. Don't overlook those, the hometown heroes if you want to call it per se.
True. Yeah.
In your hometown, a teacher, police officer, in your community.
Mm-hmm.
All that, all that is important.
Yeah.
Just another side thing. Have you been keeping up with the Ashton Hall stuff? Do you know what Ashton Hall is?
Oh yeah, man, yeah, man.
Do you know what Ashton?
I made a couple of posts about it too, recently,
Listen,
but yeah.
sorry, but some of the memes get me laughing. It's hilarious. But that's the man routine. That's the man routine. You check
Hey,
the man. He get all, you see all them followers he get, You
I
see all them.
respect it. I respect it. I respect the hustle. Hell yeah.
I can't even give you no wrong. I ain't never. What's the water? Saratoga water. That's what it is.
Yeah, some
Sar, Sar,
Sarataga, something like that.
Some type of weird water.
Yeah.
Ice in the face every morning. I just find that funny. But it's just things that can make you blow.
Yeah.
You check things that can make you blow up. You check
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I seen some of his work too. He's just, bodybuilder type stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that. I found that funny. Influencer, y'all can look up Ashton Hall and so forth.
Yeah.
Segue into the next part I wanted to discuss. So these influencers and these people
Hmm.
on social media, they promote a lot of encouragement. Go to the gym, work hard,
Hmm.
which is cool. I love for the gym. I like the gym, work hard. But how is it or they would promote a lot more the physical aspect of improvement, but not really mental. Not really the mental side for men. Like
Mm-hmm.
what can men do to better their mental, therapy, healing their traumas.
Mm-hmm.
What you feel about that?
I
Do you
agree.
think there's a lack of influencing in that regard for men, the mental side?
Yeah, I agree. Like there's a lot of influence when it comes to the physical aspect. Going to the gym. Making money. The deal is right. But when it comes to that mental and emotional, I feel like
Hmm.
there's a lack of that. And I'm talking from experience, right? Something that's really helped me when it comes to like my healing journey and like emotional is journaling.
Okay.
Journaling, that's the one thing I can tell you that has helped me, especially when you don't want to vent to somebody, when whatever you're going through is very private. Writing down how you feel and just expressing yourself in a book is very important because number one, they're not gonna gossip. A book can't tell nobody your secrets, right? It's a book. You feel me? So
I steal in a quote. I sorry. I sorry.
no, it's true.
I steal in a quote. I sorry, dog. I can't. A book cannot gas. Listen, no, sir.
hmm
Hey.
If it's a book, it's God, and God ain't gonna tell nobody. So you pick. If you're religious, you could go to God. If you're not into that religious stuff, you can use a book. There's alternatives to this, right? So you can always vent in a book, and that's what's helped me when it comes to my emotional and healing journey.
No, I feel you on that. A book cannot gossip and tell. Listen, I sorry. That is hook at me. I am sorry because that's on real stuff.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
on real stuff because
Yeah.
you got to be mindful of who you tell certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be your friend and so forth, but certain friends the gossip.
Yep.
Certain friends that gossip, not to knock on them friends and so forth. Certain friends that gossip, you gotta be
Yep.
mindful of who you talk to. But it's also good, I would say that it's good to write it down, but it's also good to have at least one person who you could like, go to, whether it's your mother or maybe a certain friend even to
Mm-hmm.
go to with certain stuff if you're going through it to check what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I still think that's also a good thing. Not
Yeah.
to put it in a book, yeah, but I think sometimes you gotta talk it out with somebody. Therapy for those,
Yeah.
give therapy a try and so forth to get the mental health side and into that sort of thing.
Yep.
And we don't see influencers talking about that. We gotta buy the course, Franco. That's not once we buy the course, we good.
Yeah.
Once we buy the course, we're good. The course solves everything. The
Mm-hmm.
course is Bible. You check what I say.
Yeah.
So it just shows, like, when it comes to knowing and influences intention, as you mentioned, that's also a good indicator, like you mentioned, jokes aside, because they are always trying to sell you something where you
Yeah.
just can't tell me. You don't making up thousands of dollars off a YouTube video. After
Mm-hmm.
this video, no, now I got to still buy this book and sign up for this and all of that. You check what I say? So that's a good thing for people to realize and pick up on that.
Yep.
But it would be nice, and I think we neglect the mental side of things a lot, even as men. Like you mentioned, we have a problem. Just go to the gym. Go to the gym. The gym is good. Is a
Mm-hmm.
good. Is a partner tell me is a good way to just get it out and just you check what he's saying,
Yeah.
just release it and just put in a walk. Boy, it's like after you go to the gym, you gotta go home and you gotta deal with it still. You check
Yeah.
is temporary. You got to may have past traumas you need to heal from and so forth, family. So you got to try and get that
Mm-hmm.
work done as well. We physical work and that, but if your mind ain't sane, what good the physical going to do?
Nothing. You ain't gonna do as good as your mental or talent. Is it both goes together? It both goes together.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's one
And
thing. Like when my content, I used to push that work hard. Go to the gym, do the
I'm all
physical
for it.
stuff.
I'm all for it.
I was halfway, right? But then I had to take a step back and like I was like, damn, like I need to add more emotional and more, mental stuff. And that's where my content shift and I started doing like more journaling posts. I even did like a whole 30 days posting like journal prompts. And it's all in my
Oh,
Instagram. So I posted up for those 30 days. And then even after the 30 days, people was like texting me like, hey bro, can you post more journal prompts? Like I used to love seeing it. And so people even used to journal like in the comments. So it's like I needed to shift my content from
mm.
not only have a physical, aspect of improvement, but also that mental and emotional well-being as well.
Absolutely, and I applaud that. And I think I think this generation especially is more being aware of that. We got to work on our mental health side as well, as opposed to Ola. Like
Hmm.
they ain't really, they weren't really emotional like that back in the day. It's
Yeah.
wherever how it is. But I think as this generation coming up, like us growing up and so forth, we really kind of more focus on the mental health side, which is a real good thing because we
Yeah.
get stuff like generational traumas and wherever going down, and we gotta stop. It gotta stop.
Yeah.
It gotta stop to a point. So that's really good. That's really excellent. So we've been mentioning about influencers throughout the whole show so far.
Hmm.
Um, I want to bring up a couple in particular. You have to be familiar with Andrew Tate. Yes or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
And you're familiar with guys like Fitex Fearless. Yes or no?
Yep. Yep.
Alrighty. So I've seen some of these guys' videos. I've seen them. Some of them. Some of Fitex Fearless videos. I watch for entertainment something. Some of the stupidness they call you with. It's just you check what he's saying. But
Yeah.
so no, then they be calling with some crazy stuff, and it's like, bro, come on, you ain't have to do that. But
Yeah.
do you think influencers like Andrew Tate and Fitex Fearless, and this could be, this is debatable. Do you think these guys are a good influence on young men today?
That's a good question because I feel like both give good and bad advice, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Here's the thing. It's hard for somebody who's 12, 14, even 15 to
Mm-hmm.
distinguish what's a good and bad advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's hard
I
for them
agree.
to distinguish. So whatever they heard Andrew Tate or Fit say something, they're gonna follow along because they don't know. They don't have no clue what's a good and bad advice. They don't even know themselves, so how are they gonna distinguish that? You feel me? So
Absolutely.
it's really hard on the youth, and like anything they say can definitely impact the way they treat women, the way they treat other people, the way they see the whole world. So I like to say is if you're like around that age, you have to really pay attention on what you're watching. You really have to analyze and be like, is what Andrew Tate said really like smart? Is it dumb? Is that something I would do? Is he a person
Mm-hmm.
that I would take advice from? So you really have to again analyze the people that you are following and the people you're taking advice from. And I even had my Andrew Tate face. I had my Andrew Tate face. I used to watch his video every single day. It's like I had my
Mm-hmm.
face with Andrew Tate, and he gave me motivation when I needed it. Like he gave me some business advice,
Mm-hmm.
motivation. But then he used to say a couple of stuff. I was like, huh, like that ain't
You,
cool.
you you have to double take and have to say, what is that?
Yeah, I was like, huh, okay,
What did he say?
that's weird right there. And again,
Mm-hmm.
like I watched Faith as well, and he even have like evolution, man evolution, I think it's called, and he help young men, with their looks. He also advised men, to grow their personal brand, to also make money, get a job. So again, it's good advice and bad advice. Take it or give it, you just have to pick and choose which one like are reasonable. Because again, some of these people said things just to get clicks, just to reach bait and go viral. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can't fall for everything they say for real.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a good thing, and that's the thing was sometimes you got to realize, you have to distinguish a good person or a good influencer as opposed to an influencer who just have a couple good points.
Mm-hmm.
You check because if and especially with algorithms and so forth, if you all you watching is the good clips of Andrew Tate, that's all you're going to see. You ain't gonna really see the next side because the algorithm feeding you a certain set of
Yeah,
videos.
yeah,
You check
yeah.
what I'm saying because that's how you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Tate has been labeled a misogynist and stuff like that and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
and all type of stuff. But aside from that, the man he does have some good points.
Yeah.
The man does have some good advice and so forth. Not even getting into his legal troubles and so forth, just based on
Mm-hmm.
what he's saying on the media and so forth.
Yeah.
Man like Vitex Fearless now, I wouldn't say he's extreme as Andrew Tate. He's more like, the looks maxing type of stuff. That's the
Yeah.
things he's into. Make sure you keep your hair looking clean.
Mm-hmm.
How to approach women and so forth. Going to the gym, all that stuff. All that stuff is cool, but these guys, I would say, is probably some of the biggest influencers, I think, to the younger generation.
Yeah.
Them two specifically, based on what I see.
Mm-hmm.
You check what he's saying. And you mentioned something in regards to, the 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds not really able to decipher what's good and bad advice. That can apply to older ages as well.
True.
That could apply to man my age, I 24. It could apply
Mm-hmm.
to that because when you're influenced by somebody, you believe in what somebody's saying. You check what he's saying.
Yeah.
You ain't want to hear nothing. You ain't want to hear nothing about it. You can't tell no OG Michael Jordan ain't the greatest in the world. You cannot
Bro.
tell no OG Michael Jordan is not the GOAT. They will
Yeah.
they will. You check what he's saying.
Yeah.
So even that to an older age, and it's funny how these people could influence us even at any age. We could be influenced at any age and so forth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But these guys is, the good and the bad advice is something you have to learn to decipher. And I think I saw on one of your platforms, one of your posts a time that you shouldn't watch. Don't be watching motivational content all the time, 24/7.
Right.
I think you had a post like that. So
Mm-hmm.
in regards to that, why would you say that? Why would you say is it a bad thing to watch it too much?
So I won't say it's a bad thing, but if all you're doing is watching motivational content and not taking action, then you're wasting your time. Somebody in my comments said like,
Mm.
"Oh, I watching motivational content, so I'm being productive," and that's not true because you're just watching it, you're not taking action.
You're
So
just consuming.
you're just consuming exactly. So if you take the motivational video and then you do something actionable, then I
Mm.
respect. I be like, okay, that's good. You're taking the right steps. But if you're just watching it just to consume it, because that's kind of basically the same thing as just scrolling on social media and doing nothing. You basically gain the same dopamine. You gain the same
Mm.
dopamine, but in a different type of content style.
No, I feel you on that. So, and sometimes I'd be, scrolling, and then, when you see that David Goggins video, you're getting comfortable, man. And I gotta throw the phone in the bed and go gym, man. I gotta do some push-ups, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You got when David Goggins rolling your feet, you got to stop what you're doing, get up, get to work. That man no play, You feel like he's
Yeah.
right there. Well, like, hey, shout out to David Goggins, he's funny.
Nah,
But,
he's a really good guy to look up to for it. Now he's a good influencer. I will say that for sure.
mm,
He's a good influencer for sure.
hey, man, listen. I feel you on that. So yes, I think
Yeah.
you're watching the motivational stuff, cool,
Hmm.
but don't just sit down and just watch it and like yeah. But then it's like you gotta go do the bicep curl, bro. You gotta
Hmm.
you gotta go do it. You
Yeah.
gotta go to school. Watch
Hmm.
the video. You watch the motivation. You can
Yeah.
watch videos and learn.
Right.
Learn it and apply it. Whether it's a business you want to do, photography, whatever,
Yeah.
making clothes or whatever. You got to apply it to check. You can't just sit down and watch motivational videos 24/7.
Right.
You gotta go out there and do the work, which is something I feel a lot of people fall into as well.
Hmm. I agree.
You got to apply the work.
I agree.
You got to apply the work.
Yeah.
I look. Just segueing again, Andrew Tate. Uh, I myself, I watch. I want to say I have an Andrew Tate phase, but I see his videos a lot.
Hmm.
I do see his videos a lot, and even I have to like understand myself that not everything they say some good points, but the influencer itself might not be the best to look after. Like I said, you cannot go wrong with Kobe, guys. You cannot go wrong with Kobe.
Good
Sorry,
message, wrong messenger.
you got this guy got a point. This guy got a point. Good message, wrong messenger. But just make sure you get a message, Irie.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get a message. If
Yeah.
McDonald's is delivering your pizza, there's a problem. But you got your pizza still, right? Okay.
So
Okay.
you still gonna eat it because you're hungry.
Yeah. You got your pizza. So you,
Yeah.
you got the message, so that's the good thing.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. Oh man. Oh man,
Yeah.
man, man, man. So Franco, tell me this. Tell the people this. In your best opinion, in your best words. What are some for the men? What are some tips that men can take from this show as we wrapping up? What are some tips men can take to be them best set, to be their best selves, to be our best selves? What can we apply, physically, mentally, and so forth, to be the best we can be and be better men, as we grow up to, be fathers or pillars in our community? What can we do?
I would say, and this is a good question. I'm glad you asked this because I'm a work in progress. And I'll say this every time. Like, I'm a work in progress. I'm not the perfect, example. I'm not the best role model, but I do. If there's something wrong with me, I'll make sure I try my best to fix it. I'll try my best to improve it. And from experience, I'll say first, make sure you're taking care of your physical health. Make sure you're trying to work out. And this don't have to be 7 days a week. You can do working out 3 days a week.
No, no, no. David Goggins said you're getting comfortable. You gotta go. No, David Goggins, you got to.
Yeah.
Take some rest, guys. Sorry. Go ahead. That's my fault. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I mean, if you're taking the David Goggins route, make sure you at least don't go as crazy as him. That was something I would say. Don't go as crazy as him.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, start working out at least 30 minutes, 3 days a week. That's perfect to start.
Mm-hmm.
Also, make sure you work on your mental as well. If that's journaling, if that's praying, if that's even taking time to listen to some music and go out with your friend, just make sure you keep your mental straight. And also, I'll say, do some acts of service. Acts of service is very purposeful. You'll feel in your purpose doing that. I've done it back at home in St. Croix. I've,
Mm-hmm.
participated in doing community events. I have a whole run club with my best friend that every time we go back home, we do runs together. We have
Mm-hmm.
free water, Gatorades, just to bring the community together to foster this environment where people are free to exercise and inspired by others. I've also done community talks, keynote speakers. So I feel like these things like really not only position yourself as a leader, but you coming out of your comfort zone to provide to your community, you know, to provide to
Yes.
those who need it. So I would say that for sure. Work on your physical, work on your mental, do acts of service. Next thing I would say, you know, I'm a big guy when it comes to like appearance is important. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, look,
In terms of how you dress.
yeah, yeah, how you
Okay.
dress, how you look, like make sure you do what's comfortable for you. Because if you look good, you feel good. So make sure you get a haircut. Make sure, if you have acne or you have something going on, like make sure you take care of yourself. You feel me? Make sure you dress well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've sometimes, like, I haven't had a haircut for 3 weeks. And then I got a fresh
Mm-hmm.
cut and I want to go everywhere. I want to talk to everybody. So it's like,
That's it. That's it. That's what you
take,
saying. You're the guy here cut you to go Target and just be walking around doing shopping. This you ain't really shopping.
yeah.
You just walking around. No,
So
I feel you. I
I-
feel you.
I'll say that for sure. Take care of your parents. And yeah, that's what I will say for what I have in my mind right now for sure.
And there's one of the first things you mentioned, and I glad you say it, and that's very good.
Hmm.
You mentioned that you was a work in progress
Yeah.
and you was not perfect, and that's one quality a lot of influencers don't have and they lack, which is humbleness.
Yeah.
Because we all have to start somewhere. You
Hmm.
check what I say. They could delete the pictures all they want to show, but we all have to start somewhere. We
Yeah.
all have to start in point.
Yeah.
That humbleness, that mentioning that, I really like that. That's
Thank you.
real.
Thank you.
That's real because we all have to start somewhere. We all is a work in progress. We could be a work in progress until we die, frankly.
Yeah.
You check what I'm saying? Because we are improvement don't done. Wisdom is infinite. It doesn't finish. You can always learn. You check what I'm saying? You can know more than the next guy or know more than most, but there's always somebody that knows more. Wisdom is infinite. You check what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really like that the man mentioned that and so forth.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Franco Lopez, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today.
Thank you for
I enjoy.
having me, bro. I appreciate it. Like I told you, like I been seeing the clips. I was like, I hope I get invited. Like I always love to do this type of stuff, like podcasts, interviews. Like I love it just to have an open conversation about topics we're interested in. So thank you for having me for sure,
Absolutely.
bro. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I know the man well versed in stuff like this. well versed, and I mean it to bring you on, but I've been doing like shows in between and so forth. And I was actually gonna record a show by myself. I was actually probably gonna do this by myself, and then I said, wait, no, I got to bring this guy on, and I'm glad I bring him on. He was the right choice.
Yeah.
You're very well versed in this. I appreciate the man coming on, and hey. Whenever you want to come on, just let me know. You got something you want to get off your chest, you want to cuss off Andrew Tate on the show, by all means, come on. I all for it. Just let me know and we could get it
Yeah.
done, Harry.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Ladies and gents, thank you guys for tuning into the show. Stay tuned for more content. The K Plus Podcast. We out. Peace. Have a blessed day.
Let's go.